Admiral Kang Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars through the wide windows. Earth looked peaceful from here, spinning slowly in the darkness. Blue oceans and white clouds covered the planet where humanity had been born. It was hard to believe that everything was about to change. The alarm sounded across the ship. Red lights flashed on every wall. Officers ran to their stations, their faces worried. Something big was happening. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Park from the communications desk. "We're getting reports from all our outer stations. Something is coming through space. Something huge." Kang walked over to the main screen. Numbers and data filled the display. His eyes grew wide as he read the information. Ships were approaching from deep space. Lots of ships. More ships than humanity had ever seen in one place. "How many?" he asked. "Over 3,000, sir," Park replied. "And they're big. Much bigger than anything we've built." Dr. Yoon So-jin entered the bridge. She was the best scientist on Earth when it came to studying alien life. For years, she had wondered if humans were alone in the universe. Now she was about to find out. "Are they trying to talk to us?" Kang asked. "Yes, sir," Park said. "We're getting a message. It's in our language somehow. They've been watching us." The main screen changed. A face appeared that made everyone on the bridge step back. Blue scales covered the alien's skin. Its eyes were large and cold. When it spoke, its voice was deep and strange. "I am Fleet Commander Vextar of the Velkari Empire," the alien said. "We have come to your small corner of space to make you an offer. You will surrender your worlds to us. You will become part of our empire. You have 30 of your days to decide." The alien paused and looked directly at the camera. "We have conquered 47 species before you. All of them tried to fight us at first. All of them failed. We are stronger than you. We have better weapons than you. We have more ships than you could count." Captain Lee Dong-ho, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. "What if we say no?" he called out. The alien's cold eyes seemed to focus on him through the screen. "Then we will destroy every human world. We will burn your cities. We will turn your planets into dust. This is not a negotiation. This is a warning." The message ended. The bridge became very quiet. Everyone looked at Admiral Kang, waiting for him to speak. "Get me a line to Earth Command," Kang said, "and call all ship captains for a meeting." Now, 2 hours later, the best military minds in human space gathered in the conference room. General Choi Tae-min appeared on screen from Earth. Ambassador. Park Mi-young joined them from the diplomatic station. Captain Lee sat across from Dr. Yoon, both looking worried. "We've studied their ships," Dr. Yoon said. "Their technology is at least 200 years ahead of ours. Each of their big ships could probably destroy 10 of ours." "How do we know they're telling the truth about the other species?" asked Ambassador Park. Dr. Yoon pulled up data on her tablet. "We checked our deep space scanners. We found evidence of destroyed worlds in nearby systems, planets that used to have cities and now have nothing but rocks and ash." General Choi leaned forward on the screen. "What about negotiation? Maybe we can find a middle ground." "I tried to contact them again," Park said. "They won't answer. They're not interested in talking." Captain Lee stood up and walked to the window. Outside, human ships moved in formation, looking small and weak compared to what was coming. "My grandfather fought in the wars on Earth," he said. "He told me that bullies never stop with just one victim. If we give them what they want, they'll just ask for more later." Admiral Kang nodded. "The question is simple. Do we fight or do we surrender?" "If we fight, we'll probably lose," General Choi said. "The numbers don't look good." "If we surrender, we lose everything anyway," Lee replied. "At least if we fight, we go down as humans, not as slaves." Dr. Yoon was looking at her tablet again. "I've been studying their message. They mentioned 47 other species. That's a lot of conquest, but I noticed something strange." Everyone looked at her. "What is it?" Kang asked. "They said all the other species tried to fight at first, but then gave up. That suggests these aliens expect a certain pattern. They probably use fear and overwhelming force to make enemies surrender quickly. So what you're saying is, Lee said slowly, they've never fought anyone who didn't give up. Exactly, Dr. Yoon said. They might be very good at scaring people into surrender, but they might not be as good at actual fighting as they think. Ambassador, Park shook her head. That's a big risk to take. We're gambling with the entire human race. General Choi was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. I've been looking at our population numbers. We have humans on 12 different star systems now. Even if they destroy Earth, there will still be humans out there. We're not as easy to wipe out as we used to be. Admiral Kang stood up. I need to make a decision, and I need to make it fast. In 30 days, they'll be expecting an answer. He looked around the room at each person. These were good people, smart people, brave people. But they were scared. Everyone was scared. The difference was what they planned to do about being scared. I've made my choice, Kang said. We're not surrendering, we're going to fight. Captain Lee smiled for the first time all day. What are our orders, sir? Get every ship ready for battle. Call back all our fleets from patrol. Start building new weapons as fast as we can. And send a message to every human world. We're going to war. What should we tell the aliens? Park asked. Kang thought about it. Tell them we got their message. Tell them we understand what they're offering. And tell them our answer is no. Dr. Yoon was still worried. Admiral, they have 3,000 ships. We have maybe 300. Then we'll have to be 10 times smarter than they are, Kang replied. Or 10 times more stubborn. Over the next few days, human space became very busy. Ships moved from system to system. Factories that used to make civilian goods started making weapons instead. Miners began looking for metals that could be used to build armor and bullets. The news spread to every human world. Some people were scared and wanted to surrender. Others were angry and wanted to fight. Most were somewhere in between, worried but determined. On Earth, President Kim Jin-ho called a meeting of all the world leaders. The room was full of nervous energy as people argued about what to do. We should at least try to negotiate, said one leader. Maybe we can work out some kind of deal. What kind of deal? Kim asked. They want us to be their slaves. There's no middle ground there. But if we fight and lose, everyone dies, another leader said. Kim stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the sky where the alien ships were somewhere out there waiting. My friends, he said, I've been reading about these Velkari. They've been conquering species for hundreds of years. Do you know what happens to conquered species in their empire? The room became quiet. They become workers. They mine metals and grow food for their masters. Their children grow up as slaves. Their culture disappears. After a few generations, it's like they never existed as free people. Kim turned back to face the room. That's not a life. That's not worth living. If we're going to die anyway, let's die as humans. The vote was close, but the decision was made. Humanity would fight. 3 weeks later, Admiral Kang received a message from the Velkari fleet. They wanted to know if humanity had made a decision. Kang recorded his response carefully. He wanted to make sure the aliens understood exactly what they were dealing with. Fleet Commander Vextar, he said to the camera, we have received your ultimatum. We have considered your offer very carefully. Our answer is no. We will not surrender. We will not become part of your empire. If you want our worlds, you'll have to take them from us. He paused and looked directly into the camera. You say you've conquered 47 species. That's impressive. But you've never fought humans before. You're about to learn why that matters. The message was sent into space, carrying humanity's defiance to the waiting alien fleet. There was no going back now. The war was about to begin. The attack came at dawn, Earth time. Captain Lee Dong-ho was drinking coffee in his ship's mess hall when the alarm started screaming. He ran to the bridge, still holding his cup. Outside the windows, space looked normal. Too normal. Report, he called to his crew. Kepler Station is gone, sir, said his communications officer, Han Subin. Her voice was shaking. They destroyed it with one shot. Lee set down his coffee cup very carefully. Kepler Station had been humanity's furthest outpost, home to 3,000 people. Miners, scientists, families with children, all gone in seconds. "Did anyone escape?" he asked. "No, sir. The station just disappeared. There's nothing left but dust." On screens across human space, people watched the recording of Kepler Station's destruction. The Velkari had sent the video everywhere, making sure every human could see what happened when you said no to the Empire. The alien weapon looked like a beam of blue light. It touched the station for just 3 seconds. When the light faded, there was empty space where thousands of people used to live and work. Fleet Commander Vextar's face appeared on every human communication channel. "This is what happens to those who resist the Empire," the alien said. "Surrender now, and no, more humans will die. Continue to resist and we will destroy every human world one by one." On Earth, President Kim Jin-ho watched the message with his advisors. The room was very quiet. Some people were crying. Others looked angry. A few looked like they wanted to run away. "Mr. President," said one advisor, "maybe we should reconsider. They can destroy our station so easily." Kim looked at the man for a long moment. "And if we surrender, what happens to the memory of those 3,000 people who just died? Do we tell their families that their deaths meant nothing?" Meanwhile, Admiral Kang was planning humanity's response. He called Captain Lee to his flagship for a meeting. "They think they've scared us," Kang said. "They're waiting for our surrender. Instead, we're going to hit them back." Lee looked at the star charts on the table. Red dots showed Velkari ships spread across human space. "With respect, sir, their ships are much bigger than ours. If we fight them directly, we'll lose." "Then we don't fight them directly," Kang replied. "We fight them smart." Dr. Yoon So-jin had been studying the Velkari fleet for weeks. She joined the meeting with data files and charts. "I've been watching their movements," she said. "They fight like they're following a rule book. Big ships in the front, smaller ships in formation behind them. They always attack the same way." "What about their supplies?" Lee asked. "That's the interesting part," Dr. Yoon said. "They have supply ships that carry fuel and food. Those ships are much smaller and less protected." Admiral Kang smiled. "What happens if an army runs out of food?" "They get hungry," Lee said. "And hungry soldiers make mistakes." The plan was simple but dangerous. Small groups of human ships would attack Velkari supply convoys. They would avoid the big warships and hit targets the aliens didn't expect humans to find. Captain Lee volunteered to lead the first attack. His ship, the Soul's Pride, was fast but not very strong. Perfect for hit-and-run attacks. "Remember," Admiral Kang told him, "you're not trying to win a big battle. You're trying to make them angry and confused. Hit them and run away before they can hit back." Lee's first target was a convoy of 5 Velkari supply ships traveling between star systems. They were protected by only 2 warships because the aliens didn't think humans would attack so far from Earth. The human attack came from 3 directions at once. Lee's ship and 2 others swept in fast, fired their missiles, and disappeared back into space before the Velkari could respond. 3 supply ships were destroyed. Tons of alien food and fuel became floating wreckage. The Velkari warships chased the human ships but couldn't catch them. Fleet Commander Vextar was not happy. "How did they find our supply ships?" he demanded of his officers. "We don't know, sir," replied his second-in-command. "Our ships were following standard patrol routes." "Standard routes," Vextar repeated. "These humans must have been watching us. Change all patrol routes immediately." But the damage was done. Word of the successful attack spread through human space faster than light. People who had been ready to surrender started to hope again. If humans could hurt the aliens, maybe humans could fight them. On the mining colony of Vesta 7, Lieutenant Commander Han Subin was preparing her own defense. The colony was built inside a field of asteroids, which made it hard to attack with big ships. But it also made it hard to escape if the attack failed. Han had only 6 small patrol boats and 200 miners who knew how to use tools, but not weapons. When the Velkari came for Vesta 7, she would have to be very creative. The attack came 3 days later. 12 Velkari ships approached the asteroid field, confident that they could destroy the human colony quickly. They were wrong. Han had spent those 3 days turning the asteroid field into a trap. The miners had attached rocket engines to large asteroids and hidden weapons on small ones. When the Velkari ships entered the field, the asteroids started moving. The aliens found themselves surrounded by floating rocks that suddenly sprouted guns and missiles. Their big ships, which were so powerful in open space, became targets that couldn't maneuver between the asteroids. Han's miners knew every rock in the field. They flew their small ships through gaps that the aliens couldn't see, appearing behind enemy ships and disappearing again like ghosts. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 8 Velkari ships were destroyed, and the other 4 were running away. Han had lost 2 patrol boats and 15 brave miners, but Vesta 7 was still free. The victory at Vesta 7 was even more important than Captain Lee's supply raids. It proved that humans could win battles, not just hit and run. The news spread across human space and beyond. On the planet New Kyoto, shop owner Shin Do-yun heard about the battle while serving customers in his store. New Kyoto had been occupied by Velkari ground troops for 2 weeks. The aliens had taken over the government buildings and told everyone to stay calm and obey orders. Shin had been calm until he heard about Vesta 7. That night, Shin met with other shop owners in the back room of his store. "They can be beaten," he told them. "Those miners proved it. We just need to be smart." The resistance on New Kyoto started small. Someone would accidentally deliver the wrong supplies to Velkari forces. A power plant would mysteriously break down just when the aliens needed electricity. Communication lines would develop problems. That took a long time to fix. The Velkari commander on New Kyoto couldn't understand what was happening. His troops were getting sick from bad food. Their vehicles kept breaking down. Their computers crashed at the worst possible times. "It's sabotage," his second officer told him. "The humans are fighting back." "But they surrendered," the commander said. "We accepted their surrender and occupied their planet peacefully. Apparently, they changed their minds." On Europa, engineer Ko Hye-jin was having similar thoughts. Europa was a mining moon that the Velkari needed for rare metals. They had taken it over with almost no fighting, expecting the human workers to keep mining under new management. Ko had been designing mining equipment for 15 years. She knew how to build machines that could dig through solid rock or cut through metal. It wasn't hard to modify those machines into weapons. Her first improvised weapon was a mining laser mounted on a mobile platform. It could cut through Velkari armor like butter. Her second was a drilling machine that could punch holes in alien vehicles. Within a week, Ko had armed 200 human miners with tools that could kill alien soldiers. The Velkari garrison on Europa found themselves under attack by enemies who knew every tunnel and cave on the moon. Back in space, Fleet Commander Vexitar was receiving reports from across human territory. Supply convoys attacked. Battle fleets, defeated by miners. Occupied worlds rising in rebellion. "This was supposed to be our shortest campaign," he told his staff. "We've been fighting these humans for 2 months, and they're getting stronger, not weaker." His tactical officer pulled up a chart showing Velkari losses. "Sir, we've lost more ships fighting humans than we lost in our last 5 conquests combined." "How is that possible?" Vextar demanded. "They have inferior technology, smaller fleets, no experience fighting galactic wars." "They don't fight the way we expect, sir. Every species we've conquered before followed standard military doctrine. The humans seem to make up new tactics as they go." Vextar stared at the star map showing human territory. Red indicators marked Velkari defeats. There were too many of them. "What do our psychological profiles say about human behavior?" he asked. "That's the problem, sir. Their behavior doesn't match any known patterns. When we destroy one of their outposts, instead of becoming more afraid, they become more angry. When we defeat their fleets, instead of surrendering, they build new ships. When we occupy their worlds, instead of accepting our rule, they start fighting with kitchen knives and farm tools." Vextar was beginning to understand that he had made a serious mistake. The Velkari Empire had conquered 47 species by following the same plan every time. Demonstrate overwhelming force, destroy a few targets to prove they were serious, then accept the inevitable surrender. Humans weren't following the plan. Send for reinforcements, Vextar ordered. Request 3 more battle fleets from the homeworlds. 6 months after the first Velkari attack, Dr. Yoon So-jin stood in what used to be a shopping mall on Mars. Now it was a weapons factory. Thousands of human workers built guns and missiles where families used to buy clothes and toys. "How many ships can we build this month?" asked General Choi Taemin. He had come to Mars to see the production lines himself. 60 fighters and 12 destroyers, Yoon replied. "They're not as good as Velkari ships, but they're fast and cheap to make." "What about the alien technology we captured?" Yoon led him to a special section of the factory. Here, human engineers worked with pieces of destroyed Velkari ships. They couldn't copy the alien technology exactly, but they could learn from it. "We've figured out how their shields work," she explained. "We can't make shields that strong, but we can make weapons that punch through them." General Choi picked up a small device from a workbench. "What's this?" "A Velkari computer core. We've been studying how they think. It's very interesting. They make decisions based on mathematics and logic. Every choice has to make sense on paper. And humans," Yoon smiled, "humans make decisions based on feelings and stubbornness. We do things that don't make sense, which is why we keep surprising them." Across human space, the war had changed everything. Peaceful colonies became military bases. Scientists became weapons designers. Farmers learned to grow food underground, where alien bombs couldn't reach it. On the mining station at Titan, Captain Song Woo-jin was planning his next attack. Song had been a merchant ship captain before the war. Now he led a group of resistance fighters who specialized in attacking Velkari supply lines. "The convoy will pass through the Nebula 7 in 3 days," he told his team. 15 cargo ships carrying weapons and ammunition. "How many escorts?" asked his second-in-command, a former engineer named Kim Bora. 6 warships. Too many for a direct attack." "So what's the plan?" Song pointed to the star chart. "We hide in the nebula and attack from inside the gas clouds. They won't be able to see us coming, and their big ships can't maneuver well in there." Kim looked worried. "The nebula is dangerous. The radiation could damage our ships." "Better to take risks than live as slaves," Song replied. "Besides, I'd rather die fighting than die on my knees." The attack on the convoy was a complete success. Song's ships emerged from the nebula like ghosts, destroyed half the cargo ships, and disappeared back into the gas clouds before the escorts could react. But the victory came with a cost. 2 human ships were lost to nebula radiation, and Song's own ship was damaged. Still, the message was clear. Nowhere in space was safe for Velkari forces. Fleet Commander Vextar was running out of patience. His latest report to the High Command made painful reading. The humans had destroyed over 400 Velkari ships. They had recaptured 6 occupied worlds. Worst of all, they had inspired rebellions in 3 other star systems. The Tidari uprising began 2 weeks ago, his intelligence officer reported. "They're using human tactics, hit-and-run attacks, sabotage, guerrilla warfare." "What about the Rex?" Vextar asked. "They've declared independence from the Empire. Their hive commanders say they were inspired by human courage." Vextar studied the reports with growing concern. The Tidari were an aquatic species that the Empire had conquered 50 years ago. They had been model subjects, never causing trouble, always following orders. Now they were building secret weapons and attacking Velkari facilities. The Vrex were even worse. As an insectoid species, they could reproduce quickly and work together perfectly. If they turned against the Empire, they could cause serious damage. "How did this happen?" Vextar demanded. "These species were completely pacified. They've been watching the war with humans, sir. They see that the Empire can be defeated. It's giving them ideas." Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Kang was meeting with representatives from the rebel species. The meeting was secret, held on a space station hidden in an asteroid field. "Admiral Reefsinger of the Tidari Resistance Fleet," announced the translator, as a being that looked like a cross between a dolphin and an octopus entered the room. "Hive Commander Click, Death of the Vrex Liberation Army. The translator continued as an insect-like creature with 4 arms and compound eyes joined them. Admiral Kang had never imagined he would be sitting at a table with aliens, planning military strategy against other aliens. The universe had become a much more complicated place. "We thank humans for showing us that freedom is possible," Reef Singer said through the translator. "For 50 years we believed the Empire was too strong to fight. Humans fight with passion," Click Death added. "This is new concept for us. We fight with logic, but passion is stronger." "What can we do to help each other?" Kang asked. Reef Singer pulled up a holographic map of Velkari space. "Tidari worlds are here. We control underwater cities that Empire cannot easily attack. We can hide human ships in our oceans." Click Death pointed to a different section of the map. "Vrex worlds have many tunnels, perfect for secret bases and weapons factories. We can build ships underground where satellites cannot see." Kang realized he was looking at the birth of something new. For the first time in galactic history, different species were working together as equals, not as conquerors and conquered. "There's something else," Dr. Yoon said. She had been studying Velkari psychology for months. "I think I know why they're so good at conquering, but so bad at fighting real wars." Everyone looked at her. "The Empire has been winning for so long that they've forgotten how to adapt," she explained. "They have tactics that worked 47 times, so they keep using the same tactics. They can't change their strategy because their whole system is based on following rules." "And humans?" Reef Singer asked. "Humans never follow the same strategy." "Twice," Yoon replied. "We're terrible at following rules, which makes us impossible to predict." Back on the Velkari flagship, Fleet Commander Vexitar was trying to understand human psychology by studying their history. What he found disturbed him greatly. "They've been fighting wars for their entire existence," he told his staff. "Not just against other species, but against each other. They have thousands of years of experience with every type of warfare. But surely they must follow some kind of military doctrine," his tactical officer said. "That's just it," Vexitar replied. "They don't. Look at this battle." He showed them a recording of a human attack on a Velkari base. They attacked from 6 different directions using completely different tactics. One group used stealth, another used direct assault, a third group used psychological warfare. "How is that possible? How do they coordinate such complex attacks?" "They don't coordinate them," Vexitar said. "Each human commander makes their own decisions based on their own judgment. There's no central plan because there doesn't need to be one." This was the most alien concept the Velkari had ever encountered. Their entire military was based on central command and unified tactics. The idea that soldiers could make independent decisions in the middle of battle was terrifying. On the human colony of New Sol, the war had created a new type of society. Everyone was a soldier, but everyone was also something else. Teachers taught children how to read and how to fight. Doctors treated wounds and designed biological weapons. Artists painted pictures and created propaganda. Young Ko Min-ho had been a college student studying poetry before the war. Now he wrote speeches that Admiral Kang broadcast to inspire human resistance fighters. His words were simple but powerful. "We fight not because we want to, but because we must. We fight not because we're strong, but because we refuse to be weak." Old Mrs. Baek Ja-young had been a grandmother who baked cookies for her neighbors. Now she ran a network of spies who gathered information about Velkari movements. She used her baking deliveries to pass secret messages between resistance cells. The Velkari couldn't understand this either. In their empire, everyone had a specific job. Soldiers fought, workers worked, leaders led. The idea that anyone could become a warrior when needed was completely foreign to them. "Every human is a potential enemy," Vexitar's intelligence chief reported. "We can't tell civilians from soldiers because there's no difference." "What about their children?" Vexitar asked. "The children carry messages and gather intelligence. Some of them have been caught placing explosives." Vexitar felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. For 6 months he had been fighting an enemy that refused to follow any logical rules. Every time he thought he understood human tactics, they would do something completely different. "Sir," his communications officer interrupted. "We're receiving a message from the High Command." The message was short and clear. The Velkari High Command was sending the largest fleet in their history to end the human problem once and for all. 5,000 ships carrying the best weapons and most experienced commanders in the Empire. "When will they arrive?" Vextar asked. 6 months, sir." Vextar looked at the star charts showing human territory. In 6 months, would there be any humans left to fight? Or would they have created an alliance strong enough to challenge the entire Velkari Empire? "Send a message to all Velkari forces," he ordered. "Begin total war protocols. No more limited engagements. No more trying to capture human facilities intact. Destroy everything." The order went out across Velkari space. The war was about to become much more deadly. The plan was called Operation Thunderstrike, and everyone knew it was probably a suicide mission. Admiral Kang stood in the briefing room of his flagship, looking at the faces of 300 ship captains. Some were young officers who had never seen real combat before the war. Others were old veterans who had fought in every major battle of the past year. All of them had volunteered for a mission that would either end the war or end their lives. "The target is Velkarus Prime," Kang announced. "The Velkari homeworld, the heart of their empire." Captain Lee raised his hand. "Sir, our intelligence says the homeworld is defended by over 2,000 ships. We have 300. "That's correct," Kang replied. "But those 2,000 ships are positioned to defend against a traditional attack. We're not going to attack. Traditionally." Dr. Yoon stepped forward with a holographic display of the Velkari system. "For 6 months we've been gathering intelligence from our Tidari and Vrex allies. They've given us detailed maps of Velkari space defenses." The display showed the alien homeworld surrounded by layers of defense stations and patrol fleets. It looked impossible to penetrate. "The Velkari have never been attacked at home," Yoon continued. "Their entire defense system is designed to stop enemies who fight the way they expect enemies to fight. Large fleets attacking in formation, following standard military tactics." "So what do we do instead?" asked Commander Park, who had been promoted after her success defending a mining colony. Admiral Kang smiled. "We do what humans do best. We improvise." The plan was unlike anything any military had ever attempted. Instead of one large fleet attacking together, the human ships would approach Velkarus Prime from dozens of different directions. Some would come in fast and loud, drawing attention. Others would sneak in quietly, hidden among asteroid fields and space debris. "The goal isn't to destroy the planet," Kang explained. "The goal is to prove that it can be done. Every species in the galaxy is watching this war. If we can attack the Velkari homeworld and survive, it will inspire rebellions across their empire." Commodore Song, who had become famous for his supply line attacks, looked worried. "Admiral, even if we succeed, how do we get home? We'll be deep in enemy territory with no support." "We might not get home," Kang said honestly. "That's why this is a volunteer mission. Anyone who wants to stay behind can do so with no shame." Nobody left the room. 2 weeks later, the largest fleet in human history departed for Velkari space. 300 ships carrying 30,000 volunteers. They traveled in small groups, taking different routes, planning to meet at the target system. Captain Lee commanded the lead squadron, 12 fast destroyers that would reach Velkarus Prime first. His job was to scout the defenses and send information back to the main fleet. "How are you feeling?" asked his new second officer, Lieutenant Shin, as they approached the outer edge of the Velkari system. "Scared," Lee admitted, "but also excited. We're about to do something that will be remembered for 1,000 years." The Velkari homeworld was beautiful in a cold, alien way. The planet was larger than Earth, covered in blue oceans and silver cities. Orbital stations surrounded it like artificial moons, each one bristling with weapons. "Scan for patrol patterns," Lee ordered. "I want to know how they move their ships." What they discovered was exactly what Dr. Yoon had predicted. The Velkari defenses followed rigid patterns. Ships moved in predetermined routes. Sensors watched specific areas. Everything was organized and logical. They're defending against the empire they know, Lee realized. Not against humans, they've never really understood. He sent his findings back to Admiral Kang, then waited for the main attack to begin. On Valkyrus Prime. Fleet Commander Vextar was in a meeting with the High Command when the first human ships appeared on long-range sensors. Impossible, said High Admiral Tekvar, the supreme military leader of the Empire. No conquered species has ever attacked our homeworld. The humans aren't conquered, Vextar reminded him. I've been trying to tell you that for months. How many ships? Tekvar demanded. 12 small vessels approaching from the outer system, reported the sensor operator. They appear to be scouts. Send a patrol fleet to destroy them, Tekvar ordered. This ends now. But when the Velkari patrol fleet reached the area where the human scouts had been detected, they found nothing. The ships had vanished. Where did they go? Tekvar asked. Unknown, sir. They simply disappeared from our sensors. What the Velkari didn't know was that the human ships were hiding in the shadow of a large asteroid, using technology learned from months of guerrilla warfare. They had become masters of concealment. Over the next 6 hours, more human ships appeared throughout the system. Never more than a few at a time, always in unexpected places. The Velkari defenders started chasing ghosts, sending patrol fleets to investigate contacts that vanished before they could arrive. It's a distraction, Vextar realized. They're making us spread our forces thin. He was right. While the Velkari were busy chasing decoy ships, the real human attack fleet was approaching from a direction nobody had thought to guard. Admiral Kang had studied the orbital mechanics of the Velkari system for weeks. He found a route that took his ships through a debris field left over from an ancient meteor impact. The field was considered impassable by large fleets, which was exactly why he chose it. All ships, this is Admiral Kang, he broadcast to his fleet. We are about to make history. Remember that we're not just fighting for humanity. We're fighting for every species that has ever dreamed of freedom. The attack began at dawn, Valkyrus prime time. 200 human ships emerged from the debris field simultaneously, catching the Velkari completely off guard. The orbital defense stations, designed to fire at enemies approaching from empty space, couldn't target ships that were surrounded by spinning chunks of rock and metal. Concentrate fire on the command stations, Kang ordered. Take out their ability to coordinate defenses. Human ships swarmed through the orbital defenses like angry insects. They were outnumbered 6-1, but they had the advantage of surprise and desperation. Captain Lee led a squadron of fighters straight at the largest orbital station. Velkari weapons fired at them, but the human pilots flew in patterns that seemed random and chaotic. The alien targeting computers couldn't predict where they would go next. This is insane, shouted Lieutenant Shin as they dodged between laser beams. We're flying straight into their guns. That's why it's working, Lee replied. They don't expect anyone to be this crazy. His fighter squadron punched through the station's defenses and delivered their missiles directly into the command center. The explosion could be seen from the planet's surface, but the humans were paying a heavy price for their boldness. Velkari reinforcements were arriving from across the system. Admiral Kang watched his fleet shrink as ship after ship was destroyed by enemy fire. Sir, called his communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from the Tidari Resistance. Fleet, on screen, Kang ordered. Admiral Reefsinger's alien face appeared, speaking through a translator. Human fleet, this is Tidari Liberation Force. We are here to fight alongside you. Behind Reefsinger's flagship, dozens of aquatic vessels emerged from hyperspace. They were followed by the angular ships of the Vrex Liberation Army, and even stranger vessels from species Kang had never seen before. How many? He asked. Over 400 ships from 6 different species, Reefsinger replied, all inspired by human courage. The battle for Valkyrus Prime became the largest space engagement in galactic history. Human ships flew alongside Tidari vessels, while Vrex fighters swarmed around Velkari dreadnoughts. For the first time ever, multiple species were fighting together as equals against a common enemy. On the planet's surface, High Admiral Tekvar watched his orbital defenses crumble. How is this possible? He demanded. These are primitive species with inferior technology. They're not fighting like primitives, Vextar observed. Look at their formations. Every species is doing something different, but somehow they're working together. Explain. The humans attack directly but unpredictably. The Tidari use stealth and precision. The Vrex coordinate perfectly but adapt quickly. Each species does what they do best, while covering for the other's weaknesses. Tekvar stared at the tactical display showing the battle above his planet. You're telling me they've created a new form of warfare? They've created something we've never seen before, Vextar confirmed. A true alliance of equals. The battle raged for 18 hours. When it ended, the Velkari orbital defenses were in ruins and their home fleet was scattered. The human-led alliance had lost nearly half their ships, but they had accomplished the impossible. Admiral Kang stood on his damaged bridge, looking down at the Velkari homeworld. For the first time in their history, the Velkari Empire had been attacked at home and defeated. What now, sir? Asked Captain Lee, whose ship had somehow survived the battle. Now we send a message to every species in the galaxy, Kang replied. We show them that the Empire can be beaten. Dr. Yoon, working from a science station that had lost half its equipment to enemy fire, was already broadcasting on all frequencies. The message was simple but powerful. Detailed recordings of the battle, showing Velkari ships retreating from their own homeworld. The message came through Velkari emergency channels, encrypted with the highest security codes in the Empire. High Admiral Tekvar read it 3 times before he believed what it said. The Emperor has authorized use of the World Killer, he announced, to his war council. We will destroy Earth and end this rebellion once and for all. Fleet Commander Vextar felt something cold in his chest. Sir, destroying an entire planet with billions of people, that violates every treaty we've ever signed. Treaties with equals, Tekvar replied. These humans have proven they will never submit. The only way to end their resistance is to eliminate their species completely. Around the galaxy, Velkari forces were retreating from dozens of worlds as rebellions erupted everywhere. The victory at Velkaris Prime had inspired every conquered species to rise up against their oppressors. The empire that had ruled for 1,000 years was crumbling. How long will it take to prepare the World Killer? Tekvar asked. 3 months to move it into position and charge the weapon, his technical advisor replied. But sir, the weapon requires our entire reserve fleet as escort. If we commit everything to destroying Earth, we won't have ships to stop the rebellions. If we don't destroy Earth, the rebellions will spread until there's no empire left to defend. Tekvar said. The humans started this. Ending them will break the spirit of every other rebel species. On Earth, Dr. Yoon So-jin was working in her laboratory when the emergency alert came through. Intelligence sources in Velkari space had discovered the Empire's plan. Humanity had 3 months before their homeworld would be destroyed by the most powerful weapon ever built. How powerful? Asked President Kim Jin-ho when the emergency council met. It can crack a planet in half, Dr. Yoon explained. Nothing we have can stop it. What about evacuation? Suggested someone. 8 billion people in 3 months? Admiral Kang shook his head. Impossible. Most would have to stay behind. The room fell silent. After everything they had accomplished, after proving that humans could not be conquered, they were going to die anyway. There is one option, Dr. Yoon said quietly. We fight. Fight what? General Choi asked. You just said nothing can stop that weapon. Nothing can stop the weapon itself, Yoon clarified. But weapons need ships to carry them. Ships need crews to operate them, and crews can make mistakes. Admiral Kang understood immediately. You're talking about attacking the weapon while it's still being moved into position. The World Killer is huge but slow, Yoon explained. It will take months to reach Earth. If we can damage it during transit, or better yet, capture it, that's insane, someone said. They'll have their entire fleet protecting it. Then we'll need help, Kang replied. More help than we've ever had before. The call went out across the galaxy to every species that had ever dreamed of freedom. This wasn't just about saving humanity anymore. This was about stopping the Velkari Empire from using its ultimate weapon to crush all resistance forever. The response was overwhelming. Tidari fleets emerged from ocean worlds. Vrex swarms poured out of underground colonies. Even species that had been conquered centuries ago sent what ships they could build or steal. "We have over 2,000 ships," Admiral Reefsinger reported, during a strategy meeting. "Not as advanced as Velkari vessels, but we have passion." "Passion doesn't stop laser cannons," pointed out Hive Commander Clickdeath. "No," agreed Captain Lee, now promoted to Admiral, "but passion makes you try things that logical people wouldn't attempt." The plan they developed was the most complex military operation in galactic history. Multiple fleets would attack the world, killer convoy from different directions. Some would try to damage the weapon. Others would attempt to board and capture it. A few would focus on destroying the escort ships. "The key is coordination," Dr. Yoon explained. "Every species fights differently, but we need to work together." Training for the mission took place in the asteroid fields around Jupiter. Human ships practiced alongside alien vessels, learning to fight as a unified force while maintaining their individual strengths. Lieutenant Ko Min-ho, the former poetry student, now commanded a squadron of fighters. He watched Tidari pilots practice underwater maneuvers in zero gravity, adapting their natural swimming motions to space combat. "It's beautiful," he told his wingmate. "All these different species learning from each other." "Think it will work?" she asked. "It has to work," Ko replied, "because if it doesn't, there won't be anyone left to remember us." Meanwhile, in Velkari space, the world killer was beginning its slow journey toward Earth. The weapon was a moon-sized station covered in armor and bristling with defensive systems. Around it flew the largest fleet the Empire had ever assembled. 3,000 ships, including every dreadnought the Velkari possessed. Fleet Commander Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the massive weapon move through space. He had spent months studying human psychology and culture, trying to understand the enemy he had failed to defeat. "Sir," his aide reported, "we're detecting unusual activity in several star systems, large numbers of ships moving toward our position." "How many ships?" "At least 2,000, sir. Maybe more. They're coming from everywhere." Vextar wasn't surprised. "The humans are calling in every favor, gathering every ally. This will be their final stand." "Will it work, sir?" Vextar considered the question. "Logically? No. They're still outnumbered and outgunned. But humans don't operate on logic. They operate on hope and stubbornness. Is that enough?" "I honestly don't know," Vextar admitted. "And that terrifies me." The Battle of the Deep began 3 days out from Earth. Admiral Kang led the human fleet in a direct assault on the world, killers escorts while his allies attacked from the flanks. "All ships, this is Admiral Kang," he broadcast. "Today we fight not just for our own species, but for the idea that freedom is stronger than fear. Show them what free beings can do when they fight together." The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Thousands of ships from dozens of species swarmed through space in a chaotic dance of destruction. Velkari formations, perfected over centuries of conquest, crumbled under attacks they had never been designed to handle. Captain Song led a group of stealth ships through the battle, targeting the world killer itself. The weapon's defenses were incredible, but they were designed to stop missiles and energy beams, not boarding parties. "Hull breach successful," reported his engineer Ko Hye-jin, who had volunteered for the most dangerous mission of all. "We're inside the weapon." What they found inside the world killer was both terrifying and encouraging. The weapon was incredibly powerful, but it was also incredibly complex. Thousands of systems had to work perfectly together to crack a planet. "If we can damage the right components," Ko reported, "we might be able to turn the weapon against itself." Outside, the space battle raged on. Admiral Lee led human fighters in desperate attacks against Velkari dreadnoughts. Tidari ships used their natural stealth abilities to appear behind enemy lines. Vrex swarms coordinated attacks that seemed random but followed patterns only they understood. But the Velkari were fighting with desperation too. This was their last chance to maintain their empire. If they lost here, rebellions would sweep across their territory until nothing was left of their 1,000-year reign. "The weapon is charging," reported Dr. Yoon from her flagship. "If we don't stop it in the next hour, it will fire on Earth." Inside the world killer, Ko Hye-jin and her team raced through corridors filled with alien technology. They had studied captured Valkyrie equipment for months, but this was beyond anything they had seen before. There, Ko said, pointing at a massive power coupling. If we can overload that, the weapon's energy will feed back into its own systems. That will cause a chain reaction, warned her technical specialist. Anyone still aboard will die. Ko looked around at her team. They were volunteers all, people who had chosen to risk everything for a chance to save their world. Anyone who wants to leave, go now, she said. I'm staying to finish the job. Nobody left. The overload took 15 minutes to set up. As alarms screamed through the World Killer's corridors, Ko's team made their way to the escape pods. But Valkyrie security forces were hunting them, and the path to safety was blocked. Go, Ko told her team. I'll hold them off. We're not leaving you, her second-in-command protested. You have to, Ko replied. Someone needs to tell the story of what we did here. The battle outside had reached its climax. Both fleets were battered and exhausted, but neither would retreat. Human ships, reduced to half their original number, continued pressing their attack with suicidal determination. Fleet Commander Vex-Tar watched the destruction with something approaching awe. They know they're probably going to die, he told his aide, but they keep fighting anyway. Why? The aide asked. Because that's what humans do, Vex-Tar realized. They don't fight to win. They fight because not fighting would mean they had already lost. At that moment, the World Killer exploded. The chain reaction Ko Hye-jin had triggered tore through the massive weapon like lightning. Secondary explosions rippled across its surface as power systems overloaded and ammunition storage areas detonated. The moon-sized station broke apart in a sphere of brilliant light that outshone the nearby star. The explosion was so massive that it damaged ships on both sides of the battle.